Kid Trunks and Goten were two characters brought into the forefront of the battlefield during the Buu saga. With their efforts as Gotenks, they almost put a stop to Buu, but were stopped in their tracks and absorbed. And after that, the limelight was pretty much gone for them. They were put into the background of the story and used more for comic relief than anything, and occasionally makeshift park rangers so that 17 could join the action. But we here on Bounty's What Ifs like to give every Saiyan hybrid their due, and we intend to do so with today's continuation of the story, What If Kid Trunks and Goten Time Traveled? If you're new to this channel, stop. Part 1 of this April Fool's What If is currently right above my head. Go ahead and go watch that video and subscribe so that you can keep up with the future updates. And don't forget, please like this video, it helps the channel out immensely. In our last part of this scenario, where we get to take a more lighthearted approach and take things a little more goofier since it is an April Fool's What If, Kid Trunks and Goten, well, not really kids anymore, fully grown adults who had been hidden throughout the timeline, went ahead and enacted their efforts to ensuring that Goten would be conceived. Their plan went off without a hitch. However, after revealing their identities to Goku and deciding to do a small sparring match before they used the time machine to return to their own present timeline, a small incident occurred in which the capsule was unfortunately broken. Their own lack of attention in fighting Goku led to the destruction of their only way home and putting them back to square one, with Bulma frustrated at them and having to rebuild a time machine all by herself. As time went on, the two hybrid Saiyans realized that they would be around for the events of the Buu saga. How will they handle this situation? Let's find out. It had been a few years since the accidental destruction of the time machine. Bulma was making good headway in developing one of her own in the present time. However, it was still going to take a while longer. During this time, it completely slipped Trunks and Goten's mind when exactly Buu would be awakened. However, when they became aware of an upcoming tournament, the memory snapped back right into their minds. "Oh no, I completely forgot about this," exclaimed Goten, really worried about the situation that was about to unfold. "Yeah, I did too. I really feel like we should probably let our parents know about this." "Well, hold on though. If we just let them know, they're gonna stop Buu from being born. And if they do that, then Hercule's not gonna have his friend." "Oh yeah, I suppose you're right about that. But if that fat Buu's not around, that means that Beerus will never get mad in the future. Remember? He got really angry when Majin Buu wouldn't share that food." "Hold on a second. Did you just say Beerus?" Trunks and Goten leapt out of their skin as they spun around and spotted Vegeta right behind them. "Father, no, I didn't say Beerus." "Cut the crap, Trunks! You may be significantly older than your present timeline self, but that doesn't mean that you're any smarter. I'm on to you. Tell me everything you know about Beerus." Alright, we'll tell you everything, but you've got to make another promise to us, alright? We've got another favor to ask, and we should probably call a meeting. I don't think that this is anything to just tell you. I think it's something for everyone to know. Vegeta agrees, and the rest of the Dragon team is brought to Capsule Corporation, including the younger version of themselves. From there, they explain the entire Buu saga, all the way up to Beerus' awakening. Goku was awestruck and incredibly excited at the prospect of fighting a god of destruction. Vegeta, however, had shivers down his spine. The fact that this buffoon could potentially get them killed one day, this wasn't something to take lightly. That being said, it seemed like they'd survived up to that point, which means there must have been some promise for the Saiyan race in Beerus' eyes. Some of the Dragon Team members, however, were a little more focused on current events and things coming up in the near future. Gohan in particular was a little surprised to know that he was about to find the person he would eventually marry, right in his own classroom of a school that he was about to start attending. Ones like Vegeta, however, were a little more focused on knowing more information beyond Beerus' awakening. But Goten and Trunks were reluctant to give more information. They knew at this point this was a completely separate timeline from the original, but that being said, they felt like these were experiences that they needed to learn for themselves. But they did make an agreement to both Goku and Vegeta in exchange for cooperating with the upcoming Buu events. They would teach them the ritual of Super Saiyan God if they went along with the plan. They didn't give any details on the ritual or even hinted that Shenron could give them the information that they seek. But with the future version of Trunks and Goten there, they had plenty of people to do it as is. Excitedly, Goku agreed, and Vegeta shortly thereafter followed, not wanting to fall behind his rival. And with that, they all prepared for the tournament. Now, I bet you're wondering where everyone's at in terms of power. Well, in this version of the story, Goku and Vegeta both learn from their own children, Trunks and Goten. Because of this, the Super Saiyan transformations that they unlocked were pretty much at the same time. Both of them did achieve Super Saiyan 3, but with Goku not being dead for any point of the story, he realized immediately the power drain that it gave, and so he decided to follow the same path as Vegeta in perfecting Super Saiyan 2 rather than exploring Super Saiyan 3 too far. Our story's version of Trunks and Goten also had massive power increases. Even though they were stronger than Goku and Vegeta, it was a heck of a game to try and stay ahead of them. In their own individual states rather than as a fusion, they mastered Super Saiyan 2 as well, and worked on Super Saiyan 3 more than Goku and Vegeta got the opportunity to. This made the fusion all the more potent, and speaking of the fusion, they taught it to their kid versions as well. They learned to become Gotenks at a younger age than they did in the original series, and they had time to work on it a little bit more. As for Gohan, he ended up unlocking Super Saiyan 2, and he kept up with training a little bit. He still ended up about as strong as he did in the original series, but his fighting techniques were a lot more honed. He wasn't as rusty, and he wasn't as rash with his decision-making skills. The day of the tournament arrived, and the roster was the same as it was in the original series. Why is this, you ask? Well, it's because the adult versions of Goten and Trunks decided that they weren't going to join. They had a different plan in mind. They told the rest of the Dragon team to go ahead and stay on alert, but go ahead and proceed and enjoy the tournament. Trunks remembered back to that day when he came across his father trying to stop Majin Buu, and from there, he tried to recall the location of the ship, or at least a general idea of it. And with a little bit of work, they managed to locate it. Goten and Trunks went there alone to try and face them and allow enough energy to come out for Buu to be born. But put a stop to the situation as soon as it happened. The two of them agreed as well, if they could avoid Vegeta getting killed in this altercation, it might be for the best. So, the plan was set to keep them at the tournament and just let them have fun while the two of them try to handle the situation by themselves. But the plan did not go off without a hitch. They had no idea about Deborah's techniques, and when they came across him, he promptly turned them into stone, fearing that they were going to try and wipe him out with ease. With that plan being stopped, things began to rapidly fall apart at the arena, with Gohan's energy being stolen and the two assailants escaping. From there, they followed them, believing that Trunks and Goten had probably failed somewhere, and how right they were. They make it there and they see a stone version of the two. Not knowing what to do, they realized if they try to go with their instincts, things might just turn out the way that they did in their timeline. In which case, everything would end up alright. They enter into the ship just like they do in the original, and they go down through the trials, and everything continues on like normal up until the fight against Deborah. Gohan's skills are a little more honed, and it does show in this battle. He narrowly gets the upper hand against Deborah and soundly defeats him. And from that point, they're a little confused. Babidi tries to take over Vegeta's mind, but he's pretty content in life. With Goku not being dead at all, and the two of them being dead even in power, he has the perfect rivalry to feed off of, and no reason to have malice going on. The Dragon team ends up coming across Babidi, but the confusion only grows when they realize that he still doesn't have enough energy to free Majin Buu. This clearly isn't how things went in the other timeline, and now they're kind of unsure what to do.
Blast it! We messed up! Now we're never going to learn Super Saiyan God. Or at least not until Beerus wakes up. It's years away.
Now calm down, Vegeta. I'm sure that there's a way that this little guy over here can go ahead and free Buu. Let's just ask him for his help.
My help?
Retorted Babidi.
You want my help in freeing Majin Buu? You stupid buffoon! As soon as he's freed, I will destroy the entire... I mean, yes. Yes! I'd be happy to help free Buu.
With that, Babidi transported everyone out of the ship, him included, along with the ball. And from there, a small arena was set, and he ordered them to fight. Trunks and Goten were teleported there as well. So Goku and Vegeta went at it. They went one-on-one against each other, going all out. The energy meter filled quickly for Buu's ball, and through a short amount of time, he was ready to be freed. Babidi cackled in victory as he performed the procedure to open the ball, and pink smoke began to billow out of it as it opened. This celebration was cut short, however, as a judo chop went firmly into his neck and he was knocked out cold. The chop came from none other than Jaco, a little late to the party, but happy to contribute knowing that it was pretty smooth sailing. Sorry I'm late, guys. I'm glad that you can handle it without Jaco, the Galactic Patrolman. I know I'm the strongest around, but you all are pretty capable. And with Babidi behind bars, the universe is going to be that much safer. Good job, team. It had been deliberated what they were going to do with Babidi. Some people suggested the Mafuba, but others suggested the Galactic Patrol was the sound decision to do. They didn't want to kill him, and they didn't want to leave him in a prison like that. It seemed inhumane. So, the Galactic Patrol was the logical choice. Jaco was called and expected to be there, but he was a few minutes late, but he showed up nonetheless. Or maybe he hid until he figured that it was going to be safe enough for him to intervene. I guess we'll never know. Majin Buu stood there, confused, but a little happy. He seemed definitely willing to play with people. But Vegeta was a little confused by the fact that they didn't seem to have another plan after this. All they really had on their minds was calming him down and letting him know that they're friends. But Vegeta knew that there was more to this that they needed to figure out.
Hold on, you two. When you were telling that story earlier, didn't you say that there was a different version of Boo inside of this one that we had to contain? What was your plan to get this evil Boo out so that we could take care of it?
Trunks and Goten had forgotten about that part. They figured, just like in their timeline, they would just go ahead and kill that version of Boo. However, they totally forgot about the fact that they had to bring him out somehow. The three of them began brainstorming ideas, with Vegeta getting rapidly frustrated at the fact that learning Super Saiyan God was just being held out of his reach. However, while that was going on, Goku was sparring with Boo, and something unfortunate happened. Boo wasn't getting an upper hand on the fight, and he was starting to get frustrated. But when he tried to turn Goku into candy, it didn't work. He kept dodging the beams, almost as if he already knew what they would do to him if he got hit with them. And out of the sheer frustration, pink smoke started billowing out of his head. It seemed like this problem was solving itself now, but that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like this video, check out this one right here where Goku and Raditz fought at a different venue and it led to a completely different direction for the series. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.